Time for some Twitter tea. And boy, is the tea hot this morning. It's Saturday, October 16th at 8:30 in the morning. Am I crazy for making a video this early? Probably. I don't usually give the date and time, but it's kind of pertinent to this discussion. I just cannot believe people are up tweeting and Instagramming already. It's crazy to me. I'm still drinking coffee. Drinking my coffee, trying to wake up, click on Twitter. Boop, there's Todd Chrisley posting about Katie already. Go over, click on Instagram. There's Katie posting on Instagram already. It's crazy to me. Posting that she has insomnia and can't sleep, which is only 5 hours from her last tweet, which I find kind of sad. I mean, if I had that much trouble sleeping, I would be calling my doctor. And let's just get one thing out of the way. This video is just my opinions and should never be construed as facts. So just to recap a little bit for people that may not know the whole story, about a month ago, well, even further, but anyway, Todd Chrisley's been talking about suing Katie Joy for defamation and slander. He put out this tweet saying, if you've been harmed by Katie Joy, email this email of mine and my attorneys will go through it. If you've been harmed by victims of withoutacrystalball@gmail.com, which I'm pretty sure he regretted doing, because I can't imagine all the craziness that ended up in that email account. And I can't imagine paying any attorneys to go through that hot mess, but maybe he did. So then he says he's going to do a class action lawsuit for defamation and wants everybody to come in with him. And if he gets 12 people, he's going to foot the bill. And I kept saying, I have never in life heard of a class action defamation lawsuit. That's very odd to me. It doesn't make sense. I can't find another case anywhere. I have asked like 3 or 4 YouTube attorneys, but they won't answer me. But I tried to get an answer. I can't get anybody to answer. So, it's been quiet. And I had said all along, I don't think he's really going to sue her. You guys know I have said that. I thought it was all bluff. He just wants to get information, in my opinion, on his daughter. That is his real goal here. And Katie has refused several times, saying she doesn't know anything that he needs to know for his lawsuit, and has refused to give a deposition, etc., etc. So, somebody pointed out that it had been awful quiet. Everybody was waiting for his Chrisley's Confessions podcast, which came out the other night, but he didn't say anything about Without a Crystal Ball, so people were really disappointed. So then, somebody points out on Twitter that it's been awfully quiet. And what is Todd Chrisley doing? And lo and behold, Todd Chrisley starts tweeting. So he says, peace be still. It's always calmest before the storm. Da-na-na-na. Oh my gosh. So then he says, October 17th, and we will be off to the races. It's not against the law to make a promise, but it is in poor taste not to keep one. So there you go. So finally he comes out and says, October 17th is the date. And everybody knows he's talking about Without a Crystal Ball, but he doesn't come right out and say it, right? So of course everybody's asking in the comments, are you talking about Without a Crystal Ball? And he says, yes, ma'am, it's on. I hear his voice when I say that. Yes, ma'am, it's on. So, people are just going crazy on Twitter. They're so happy that it's finally going to happen. And why do I still have doubts, you guys? I still have doubts. So then he tweets and says, my bad, I apologize, it's the 18th. The Lord rest on Sunday. So I guess we'll all find out tomorrow if this is really going to go through. The weird thing is, people have asked him, is this a class action suit or just your lawsuit? I've not seen where he's answered that. I can't imagine it's still a class action lawsuit, or the other people involved, I believe, would be talking about it, right? Because they would. They just would. They'd be tweeting all over about it if they were involved, in my opinion. So I think, if anything, it's going to be his own lawsuit against her for defamation, but I still don't believe it. I just don't. So then Katie, of course, starts tweeting and says, "Don't think for a second the feds don't know about you trying to start a class action lawsuit against me while you are out on bond. They know you only care about me because I'm friends with your daughter." So, yeah. So here we go with this. Now, at first I thought that doesn't even make sense, but then I listened to a little bit of her live and then it made more sense. Let's read this tweet. Katie says, "Chrisley doesn't know best. Chrisley, we already met with the FBI. I won't apologize for the truth. Leave your daughter alone. She doesn't deserve this, and I'm lucky she's my friend. May 16th, your trial starts. Next week, we meet with the feds again." So I think people are really confused about this feds stuff. So number one confusion that people have had is they think he already won his lawsuit about taxes. That was the state of Georgia. That was not the federal case. So the state of Georgia dismissed their case or whatever they did, settled with him, and that case is gone, except for the woman that worked there that is currently suing Todd Chrisley. Okay? So the federal case is a whole nother case brought by the IRS and the FBI. Who knew that the FBI gets involved in IRS cases? But they do. So that's what she's talking about. And I think that's what confuses people. So my take is that the FBI has contacted Katie on his case coming up next year about tax evasion, wire fraud, all that stuff. They could be. I know people think it's far-fetched, but they could be talking to her. I wouldn't think she'd have much information to give because she's not made a declaration when Todd asked her to, which I think is what really pissed him off. But she repeatedly says she has no information to give. This tweet says, "I spoke to your case manager at the FBI. We meet next week with them. Keep running your mouth. The feds are watching all of it." So, my thing is, though, if she doesn't have any information that would be okay for Chrisley to use, then how does she have information for the feds to use? But I guess it's not for me to figure out, right? The last thing anyone should do when they are under federal indictment, out on bail, and facing years in prison is to threaten or intimidate people that they believe are connected to their case. Witnesses and victims of the accused are protected from direct and indirect contact. So she probably has a bit of a point there, because if she is going to be a witness for the IRS or the FBI, then he would be intimidating a witness. I don't know. I'm just saying. You know, I always try to be fair and show both sides of everything. So, and I always say there's a little kernel of truth in everything people say, even if they're exaggerating, even if they're lying, you'll always see some truth. My thing is, this is such a big deal, his federal case, that it just boggles my mind that he even wants to mess with Katie Joy. It makes no sense to me, except that he is so enraged with his daughter that I feel like he'd about do anything to get back at her. And that makes me sad. I think what a lot of people overlook is this is a family imploding. And it makes me sad. I never want to see anybody go split their family up over this stuff. I will say this, and this makes me wonder about Todd's attorneys. The feds don't ever lose. They don't bring a case that they can't win. I've said this before. The feds' conviction rate is like 98.99%. They rarely lose. Most people take a plea deal and work with them and do that. Todd has refused to take a plea or work with them or any of that. From what I read, he didn't pay his taxes for like 2013 through 2016 and allegedly had a accountant that was making up paperwork, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty big charges. Yeah, we're going to have to see how that all pans out. Honestly, I will be shocked if there is a lawsuit filed, Todd Chrisley versus Katie Joy, tomorrow. I will be. I know y'all think I'm wrong, but we'll see in the morning, I guess. I could be wrong. I'm starting to believe it a little bit, but part of me is still like, if I was under a federal investigation, would I be messing with Katie Joy? No. But I did show in here, too, where he kept retweeting other people, talking about trying to get Katie kicked off YouTube. And Todd Chrisley says that he already had his attorneys talking to the YouTube attorneys about getting her channel taken down. That's a slippery slope. I don't know that anybody wants to see that, because after what I've been through with Chris McDonough from the interview room, we all agree that it's not right that he tried to strike my channel. I'm sure if he thought he could, he'd get an attorney and get mine taken down for saying things about him he didn't like. We don't want that. We don't want that on YouTube. We don't want channels being taken down just because you don't like what somebody said about you. Now, having said that, do I agree with things that Katie said about the Chrisleys? No, I don't. Especially questioning somebody's sexuality, I think should never, ever be done to anybody. But should somebody get their whole channel taken down? No, I don't think they should, but I think they should get videos taken down. That, to me, is a whole different thing. But I am surprised, though. I want to say this. There is that rule in the YouTube terms of service about religions being a protected class. I have often wondered how she was able to go after the Duggars like she does, because I guess they don't fall in that protected class, or maybe it's because the Duggars have just never taken it up with YouTube. I mean, I guess if they don't ever file with YouTube, then YouTube they're not going to take it down until somebody, mainly the Duggars, brings it to their attention. And I think the Duggars have their hands full right now and probably just don't even want to mess with that. So that's my feeling on that. You can let me know if you disagree or agree in the comments. Let me know, do you think there's going to be a lawsuit tomorrow? I don't know, guys. I still don't believe it. But we're going to find out real soon. Anyway, I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend. The weather was beautiful here. It finally cooled off. Thank you. That heat was messing with my cotton candy, and that's never good. So I'm happy to see the cool weather. Anyway, hold your family close.